The storytelling has begun. In the morning, some women discovered Jesus' tomb was empty. Now it's later on the same day, and other followers of Jesus are talking. Two of them are talking while they walk from Jerusalem to a village called Emmaus. And of course, after 3 days of horror, trauma, grief, and bewilderment, they have plenty to talk about. The translation says they are talking and discussing. That sounds a little more academic than what they're probably doing. They're probably just telling each other the story. We make meaning of experiences by telling stories. If you tell someone about a dream you had, you'll find that as you tell it, you're trying to make sense of it. We do that with our real-life experiences, too. As in dreams, while we're in a real-life experience, all we can do is live it moment to moment. Only later, by telling the story, do we begin to sort out our feelings, maybe fill in some gaps. With time and telling, perhaps we will extract some meaning from it all. That's surely what these two followers of Jesus were hoping to do on the road to Emmaus. We can imagine that each reminds the other of how things happen. Remember this? Remember that? They tell the story to each other, each filling in the gaps from his own perspective and settling on details, saying, no, it happened this way, or confirming, yes, I saw that too. Maybe they can explain it or help each other understand it. Someday, they might even find some meaning in it all. All of us tell stories. We even tell them to ourselves. That's how we try to make sense and build memories about things that have happened. But the stories we tell ourselves are flawed and incomplete, which we know by how often these stories make us the hero. Stories are better told in company. Sharing our stories with each other can remind us of events, fill in gaps, and give us new perspectives and a fuller understanding. Now, if two ordinary humans can do all that by talking to each other, imagine what happens when Jesus joins the conversation. That's what happens next on the walk to Emmaus. As the men walk and talk, Jesus joins them on the road. We know it's Jesus, but they don't. They take him for a stranger. And like most strangers, he seems clueless to everything that is important in their place. He asks, "What are you discussing with each other while you walk along?" The followers are incredulous. One of them, named Cleopas, says, "Are you the only stranger in Jerusalem who does not know the things that have taken place in these days?" Clueless stranger says, "What things?" And so the storytelling begins again. They tell about Jesus of Nazareth, a prophet condemned and crucified, even though they had hoped he was the one to redeem Israel. And now his body is missing from the tomb, and some women said they saw angels who said he was alive. Can't you just picture Jesus walking along in silence, taking it all in? I heard someone say recently that it is not the eyes that are the windows to the soul, it's the eyebrows. As Jesus listens to their story, full of errors and gaps and disappointments and questions, I picture him occasionally raising his eyebrows. And then he lets them have it. And I say that because it sounds at first like a scolding, "Oh, how foolish you are." But really, he lets them have a gift. He interprets the words of the prophets to show that his life, ministry, suffering, death, and resurrection fulfill the promise of the scriptures. He starts with what they know, and then he leads them forward. Where his traveling companions seemed to fear that their hope in Jesus was for naught, Jesus himself shows them that the fulfillment of their hope far exceeds their expectations. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Luke 9, where Jesus asks the disciples, "Who do you say that I am?" In that story, Peter answers that Jesus is the Messiah of God, and then Jesus leads Peter forward from what he knows, saying the Son of Man must undergo suffering and be rejected by the elders, chief priests, and scribes, and be killed, and on the third day be raised. Who do you say that I am? What things? Jesus has a habit of asking the disciples to tell him his own story. And when they do, Jesus meets them wherever their understanding stops and leads them into something new.